Welcome to Real Estate Today. I'm Koolik, and on today's show, we're going to be talking about a really exciting concept, auctioning your home. And we're lucky enough to have two of the founders of a really unique auction company called Auction Prop, Lawrence Bard and Jeffrey Young. And they're here today to explain to us why their concept of auctioning homes is vastly different than the rest of the auctioneers in town. So it's going to be a great show, and I'm glad that you're tuned in. Welcome back to Real Estate Today. I'm Koolik, and we're lucky today to be joined by Lawrence Bard and Jeffrey Young of Auction Prop. Guys, thank you for coming on the show. Can you tell everybody, Auction Prop has a very unique business philosophy, and I think that what we've discussed is that what you guys are doing is you're embracing the real estate community and marrying that with using auctioning to get more exposure and ultimately sell a house more quickly and more efficiently and hopefully for a better price. So can you guys expand on that?
Auction Prop is an exclusive platform for the real estate industry whereby agents can bring their listings to auction and offer their clients an additional way to buy and sell their property. It's not a distressed foreclosed type of scenario, it's mainstream, where quality properties from real sellers and real properties are being sold at auction. And this is what's happening all over the world. And Auction Prop is very excited to bring this mainstream additional selling tool to the real estate market, working with the most successful realtors that are able to offer their clients an additional way to buy and sell property.
Well, that's actually what intrigued me, because when we spoke 6 months ago, I was just like everybody else, and I had the impression, well, foreclosure, real estate auctions were primarily government seized property, including houses or foreclosures. And I think how you guys educated.
It's exactly what you thought when we first spoke, and we've shown you that we've brought this unique Australian UK hybrid model to the US with a bit of a South African influence to show you that auctions on real estate are mainstream, and that's what our philosophy is all about.
And it's interesting, because when we talked about it further, and I was, because I did the auction and I had properties in there. Unfortunately, some of them were bid, some didn't sell. But, I believe there's an education process. When you look at the biggest auctioneer in the world, which is eBay, it's not like everything on there is distressed. So what really attracted me as a broker was I was able to do exactly what you said. I was able to offer an additional marketing tool and ultimately a sales tool to my listings and my sellers to say, hey, you know what? Traditionally, we're doing direct mail, we're doing websites, we're doing newspaper, maybe other forms of advertising. But you know what? This is a great way to take our existing relationship between the seller and the agent and really enhance it. And I thought it was an exciting event.
Between that relationship between your seller and you remains the same, that remains intact, and you utilize us as your auction.
Well, that's a great point. So let's tell everybody at home, how does Auction Prop create that relationship different than the traditional auctioneer that is kind of getting into the business, let's say the old school type of auction company?
Well, traditionally auctioneers acted for themselves, and they weren't working harmoniously with the real estate agents or industry.
So in other words, what was happening is most auctioneering companies were in direct competition to the realtors, and they would at the same time going after the client of the realtor and trying to say, well, they cooperate with the realtor. And at the end of the day, you cannot sit on both sides of the fence. Auction Prop values the relationship that the realtor has with their client. And in this sense, Auction Prop will never take a listing directly from a seller. What we actually do is we value that relationship of that realtor, whereby if a seller contacts Auction Prop directly, that lead and that particular relationship is then on our cooperating platform, it's then referred back to the listing agent.
Right. I think that all of the auctioning concept recently, especially the traditional auctioneers, have kind of gotten into the selling of real estate. Not that they never sell real estate, but we were never, in a traditional sense, competing with them. The fact that we've entered a bit of a weak environment, they felt like this is a way to move properties because everybody's motivated and the environment's a little weak. I think that what's really important to bring home to everybody about your concept is the fact that the traditional companies charge a very large marketing fee, and they really don't work with the listing broker, with the seller. It has nothing to do with us. What you're doing is you're going to, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're going to leading brokers in their area who have a strong sphere of influence, and you're saying, hey, we can help you market your properties in addition to everything else you're doing. The commission structure pretty much stays the same, except for a buyer's premium, which is, and we'll talk about this in the next segment, the real specifics, but I want everyone to know that nothing really changes as far as any of the expenses to the seller or actually to the, to the listing broker.
Absolutely right, Elliot. The whole thing is that with most auction companies, auctions are viewed as an alternative to traditional selling. And Auction Prop values that traditional relationship that's existed for eternity. And what Auction Prop has developed is, in essence, a marketing platform whereby agents are able to offer this additional tool in which to bring properties to auction, and then it reverts back to traditional selling and backwards and forwards. So it's encompassing of traditional selling and auctioning selling into a totally different and unique and innovative marketing solution.
I think I really am very excited about the concept, and I'm glad that I'm participating. I'm glad you're on the show. So in the next segment, what I really want to drive home to everybody is what are the mechanics of how does Auction Prop really work? What is this platform you're talking about? How does the website work? I know that there's bidding online. You can do it by telephone. You can be actually at the auction. So I really want to crystallize to everybody how it really works. So we'll see you in a few minutes at the next segment of Real Estate Today. Welcome back to Real Estate Today. I'm Elliot Koolik, and we're here today with Lawrence Bard and Jeffrey Young, founders of Auction Prop, which is a auction company that markets and sells real estate. Guys, what I want to talk about in this segment is the actual mechanics of how this whole process works. So take me from getting the listing and working with the real estate broker, to filling out all the paperwork, to actually going to the auction, and what happens at the auction, and ultimately, if the property is bid on, how that sale should ultimately go through.
Elliot, we are very technology driven, and a lot of what you're saying and what happens in our business is driven by our website, auctionprop.com. And you, as a real estate agent and a professional real estate agent, well-known real estate agent, would go out to your client as you normally would and offer this as an additional service.
So we go and list the property.
Correct.
And we say we do all of these traditional things.
And in addition,
we're doing...
You can offer an Auction Prop platform. We use the live multiple platform as our auction for our auction events. In other words, there'll be numerous properties from different real estate agents or different real estate companies putting real estate on one platform to sell. Our first auction in Boca Raton, we had 50 properties for sale. It was a very successful event. We had a lot of people, a lot of attendees. And what happens is you would offer your client the auction concept as an additional means of selling the house.
Okay, so I list the house.
Correct.
Sign some additional documents that say they're going to participate in this auction.
Correct.
So whatever the standard commission that we're charging stays in place.
Correct.
We submit the property to you, where we submit the paperwork, the pictures of the house. They're loaded onto your website, and they get, for all intents and purposes, their own little dedicated page, which they can view the different pictures of the house and all the additional, all the pertinent information about that house, correct?
Correct. And what's very unique about our model is all the calls go to you. So the house that you list, you maintain that relationship with your seller.
Okay.
So on what we call the listing landing page on our website, if it's a house for sale in Woodfield Country Club and it's one of your listings,
yes,
the calls would go to Elliot Koolik. You would show the house prior to the auction and show people the benefits and the good points about that
Good.
property.
Okay, next place. We are now on the website.